Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Ragnaraika Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. This is the, I would say, 2024's take on Tri-Brigade, or the Insect Plant Reptile variant of a very Tri-Brigade-like deck that focuses on being able to link summon a wide variety of extra deck monsters that we got from the newest booster set, using the many different Ragnaraika monsters. And when I say many, I mean the 3 we have currently, but what also makes this deck a lot of fun is that you can try and mix in a bunch of different plant, insect, and reptile engines to make the deck work, while wanting to stick to as pure of a build as I could. Decided to go with some of my favorites, including Naturia, mixing in some of the Therion monsters, and also just some of the more generic support we got from the Legacy of Destruction booster set. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the new Ragnaraika monsters, we're running 3 copies of Ragnaraika, the Evil Seed. You can special summon this card from your hand by sending 1 insect, plant, or reptile monster from your hand to the graveyard. You can only special summon Ragnaraika, the Evil Seed, once per turn. This way, and if it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 basically to your hand 2 different types of Ragnaraika cards that are banished and or in your deck, except for Ragnaraika, the Evil Seed, then banish 1 card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn, except for insect, plant, or reptile monsters. You can only use this effect of Ragnaraika, the Evil Seed, once per turn, but it's your setup being able to search out the lower number of Ragnaraika cards we run in the deck, using our main go-to plant monster as well. And being a plant monster, there are other cards we can run to be able to get extra access to this card all the faster. Now, the Ragnaraika, the Evil Seed, was the insect monster, or the plant monster, that's my bad. I even mentioned the Lone Fire. For the insect monster in the deck, we're running 2 copies of Ragnaraika Samurai Beetle. You can special summon this card from your hand by placing 1 of your banished insect, plant, or reptile monsters on the bottom of your main deck. You can only special summon Samurai Beetle once per turn this way. If it's sent to the graveyard as material for a Ragnaraika Link monster, you can target 1 level 4 lower insect, plant, or reptile monster in your graveyard, except for Samurai Beetle, and special summon it in defense position. And you can only use this effect of Samurai Beetle once per turn. So what I like also is you have the option with Ragnaraika Evil Seed by sending an insect, plant, or reptile monster from your hand to the graveyard. So you can set up either your Naturia Camellia or your Naturia Mole Cricket in the graveyard, and then use your Samurai Beetle that you added off of the Ragnaraika Evil Seed to then special summon that monster back onto the field using this card, and then activate their own card effects also. With the last of the Ragnaraika main deck monsters being 2 copies of Ragnaraika Armored Lizard, the reptile monster for the deck. You can special summon this card from your hand by banishing 1 insect, plant, or reptile monster from your graveyard. You can only special summon Armored Lizard once per turn this way, and you can discard 1 insect, plant, or reptile monster to target a face-up monster your opponent controls, except for an insect, plant, or reptile monster, and return to the hand. So more bounce back power. There's not too many decks that run insect, reptile, or plant currently, so you have a wide variety of bounce back with Armored Lizard. But once again, you only really need the 2 Samurai Beetle and the 2 Armored Lizard, with Evil Seed being your main go-to setup to grab these cards to begin with. From the new set, we also have the Cyclos, the Circular Sprite, which we're running 3 copies of. If it's normal or special summon, you can discard 1 card to add 1 insect or plant tuner from your deck to your hand, except for Cyclos, the Circular Sprite. Having that search power, we can add cards like our Camellia to our hand as well, using this card, but also being able to then set up cards in the graveyard for us to banish for our other Ragnaraika cards as well. And if an insect or plant synchro monster is special summoned while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Give you more of a resource, but the Cyclos is more in the deck for an added setup. If you wanted to run any plant synchros, you can take out some of these synchro lineup that we're running already in the deck to more go with our Naturia lineup. But for the Naturia lineup, running 3 copies of Camellia. You have the Naturia card set up in the graveyard with this card, the initial mill to help with getting more cards in the graveyard off of the tribute if you were to tribute a Naturia for its own card effect, instead being able to mill the top 2 cards of your deck using your Camellia, and then being that tuner that can also be searched off of your Circular Sprite or just a plant monster to be sent by sending a plant from your hand to the graveyard off of cards like Ragnaraika, the Evil Seed, or even more of the banish setup for our Samurai Beetle or Armored Lizard. Also, same premise with our Naturia Mole Cricket, running 3 copies of this card as well, having the tribute play to special summon 2 Naturia monsters if your opponent controls a monster with the highest attack on the field, or 1 from the extra deck as well for the tribute play. You can get around this small engine as well, making use of cards like Camellia for that setup, with the tribute play being instead used for a mill. But the insect and plant lineup for Naturia I find works very, very well for the added insect and plant playstyle for the Ragnaraika cards. With the last last of our Naturia cards, being one additional plant monster, Naturia Sunflower, for the additional monster effect negation of our opponent's cards. For some of the more generic lineup in the deck, also running 3 copies of Lone Fire Blossom just for the tribute to get out multiple Lone Fires in your graveyard for you to use, and then grabbing your Ragnaraika, the Evil Seed, on the field to then use its own effect for the summon of this card when it's special summon to add to your hand up to 2 different Ragnaraika cards, and then banish 1 card from your hand. You can easily grab that monster using your Lone Fire Blossom. For the Therion cards, I run 2 copies of Therion Empress Alacia and the 1 Lily Borea, having the plant equip with Borea and the reptile equip with Alacia, having the special summon of this card onto the field as well, just giving you that additional resource on the field for you to be able to go into, because we need either plant, insect, or reptile monsters for the many different Ragnaraika Link monsters that we run. And then lastly, for the main deck monsters, my hand trap of choice, I'm trying out the Dimension Shifter lineup for this spot. You could run Ash Blossom if you want in this one monster spot. It mostly just is here for additional banish options for some of our monsters. It kind of conflicts with a Naturia lineup, so if you wanted to run Ash Blossom, you can try it out. I'm just testing it in this spot to use for more of a disruption against our opponent also. For the spells, we're running 3 copies of Ragnaraika Bloom. Insect, plant, and reptile monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. Also, all other monsters on the field lose 300 attack and defense. During your main phase, you can activate one of these effects. You can add 1 Ragnaraika monster from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. You can special summon one of your Ragnaraika monsters from your hand, graveyard, or banishment in defense position. You can only use this effect of Bloom once per turn, so this kind of goes off of the banish play for D-Shifter, still being able to grab a resource off of Bloom, as well as just being able to grab one from the deck if need be, as another easy search to grab Evil Seed to your hand. And also 3 copies of Naturia Blessing, not being a once per turn spell, just to be able to grab back our Naturia monsters in our graveyard as resources on the field. With some of the lower numbers for our spells being the 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent and the 2 copies of Prosperity. We have a wide variety of cards in the extra deck to make use of, but still having some of a banish cost to search off of Prosperity, and if our opponent tries to stop any of our special summon plays like Lone Fire Blossom, we can at least get a draw into something more useful with Triple Tactics Talent. And lastly, the 1 Foolish Burial and the 1 Gold Sarcophagus for just another banish target, and Foolish Burial for a graveyard setup. For the traps, running 1 copy of the new Ragnaraika Hunting Dance. It is another card that you could just search off of your Evil Seed. That's why we're just running the 1 of copy. Target cards your opponent control up to the number of different monster types among the link monsters you control that are insect, plant, or reptile, and destroy them. If a face-up insect, plant, or reptile monster is destroyed by a battle or card effect while this card's in the graveyard, except the turn was sent there, you can banish this card, then target 1 monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So having 2 destruction effects on top of just 1 trap is an excellent addition, and once again, just an easy one if it's a search, with the last of our traps being the 1 Sacred Tree for the send off of Camellia to then be able to grab another search of a Naturia card off of Sacred Tree as well. And then moving on now to the extra deck for our boss monster for the Ragnaraika cards, the 1 copy of Ragnaraika Stag Sovereign, needing 2 or more insect, plant, and or reptile monsters. If a monster is special summoned to your opponent's deck and or extra deck, except in the damage step, you can destroy 2 monsters on the field. If this card's in your graveyard, you can target 1 insect, plant, or reptile monster you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, you do not special summon for the rest of this turn, except for insect, plant, or reptile monsters, which isn't really much of a restriction in the deck, but still just more easy setup to get our boss monster onto the field. The additional copies for our link monsters are the 2 copies of Ragnaraika Skeletal Soldier, needing 2 monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile monster. You can target 1 Ragnaraika monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense, and if this card's in your graveyard, you can target 1 insect, plant, or reptile monster you control, place on the bottom of the deck, and special summon this card. So giving you that resource again, but being able to grab more resources from your graveyard to then extend your plays to go into the bigger and bigger link monsters, including our Ragnaraika Chain Coils or our Ragnaraika Mantis Monk, depending on if you need the link 3 or 4 option to just keep climbing. Very, very similar to how the Tri Brigade decks play with their own playstyle. For more of the generic link options, we're also running 1 copy of Aromaseraphy Jasmine for more plant options. You need 2 plant monsters to make, but easily done with cards like Sunflower and Camellia as well for the Naturia lineup. Same with Bengalancer, the Resurgent, and the 1 copy of Haggard Lizardos, new link monster from the new pack. Just need 2 monsters with different names to make it. and you can banish a monster from your face-up on the field or graveyard with 2,000 less attack, and target a face-up monster on the field, and make its attack become equal to the original attack of the monster banished. So just kind of like an underclock taker effect, but being able to make use of the banish option to then use with your other Ragnaraika cards. Also, the 1 copy of Almirage, the 1 Reprodocus, the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Borolo Dragon, just for more of a generic link lineup, but also potential banish targets for Pot of Prosperity. For our Xyz monsters, the 1 copy of King of the Pharaoh Imps, just being able to search off a reptile monster, just needing 2 level 4 monsters to make King of the Pharaoh Imps, and the 1 Princess Sprite for more search power, using our other level 1 monsters. And the only synchro monster I have in the deck is still one of my favorites, is the Naturia Beastplay, to make use of with our Mole Cricket and Camellia Summon. But as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, the setup of Evil Seed is really what you use for a good majority of your cards. So whether you summon it off of its own card effect by sending 1 insect, plant, or reptile monster from your hand to the graveyard, or using the Lone Fire Blossom play, then you can add up to 2 different Ragnaraika cards. So with this card, you can then add your Armored Lizard and your Samurai Beetle to your hand, and then you have to use the other effect to banish 1 card from your hand. So depending on what you banish, you can also, make use of cards like Samurai Beetle, because then you can banish one of your initial, insect cards in your hand, summoning out the beetle by returning that banished card, and then when this card is special summoned out or using for that link material play, you can target level 4 lower insect monster in your graveyard, except for Samurai Beetle and special summon it, which you can use the Armored Lizard in your hand for the special summon by banishing an insect, plant, or reptile monster from your graveyard. So you could first go for the Link 2 play, using your 2 monsters to set up your Link 2 Ragnaraika monster on the field, as well being able to target that insect or plant monster, and also with that play, place on the bottom of the deck to special summon the other monster you control, targeting that other additional plant monster for that resource, or you can use the Armored Lizard going for the banish to summon it out, and then have your initial Link 3 play to then climb into your other Ragnaraika cards. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. Very interesting take, and like I said, a deck very similar to the playstyle of Tri-Brigades, but instead using the insect, plant, and reptile lineup for your cards. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.